Hello, everyone. Well, since didn't plan on doing this, I kind of have been making a habit in recent years of looking at winners and award nominees I have not previously. So, with that in mind, after a few months of hiatus, and because anything I will need to take my mind off of current events, so here I present for this Trip into Disney Plus hole a 10th anniversary double feature of the Zootopia movies, so let's begin. As usual, starting with the first film, which its debuted a little over a decade ago in March 2016, and at the time, I'll admit, I was a bit skeptical about what they were putting down. I decided, like, okay, this doesn't look like the worst thing ever, but I can wait for it to come home. And being able to watch it on my own terms actually ended up letting me get my perspective in order about its concepts. The story follows an aspiring a, a, a young rabbit named Judy Hopps with Jennifer Goodwin as she forms a reluctant alliance with a much more cynical but streetwise fox named Nick Wilde, voiced by Jason Bateman, as a series of disappearances is linked to predators and prey and their divide. I threaten to throw the city into utter chaos, and there will be some spoilers who have not seen these films, so if anyone has it, I recommend they do so. Also, the films are good. I may not put this first one on the same pedestal as other people, but I definitely understand why so many people like it. I mean, it's the favorite film of some of my associates as well, even though I haven't been in contact with them for a while. And the debate about how it handles certain elements in this context is definitely worth having, and I encourage others to do so. I mean, and it doesn't. I'm not really here to flatter anyone, but whenever I'm not sure about something, a lot of elements in front of me, I try to focus on one in particular to see how it handles that. And with that in mind, I definitely enjoy how both Byron Howard and Rich Moore handled like a was functionally a neo noir detective story that happens to involve animals, of all shapes and sizes. And that is, and definitely think the strongest element is like the setting itself of Zootopia or Zootropolis for those of you across the pond. It is definitely very interesting how little details like the subway trains sympathize doors for each kind of animal and different biomes have different districts next for them all. It is legitimate. I mean, the world building is definitely an aspect I can get the most enjoyment out of, and it is very much like a living, breathing world, and how it's being explored is also key. Like there are jungles, there are tundras, there are deserts, and also like how they handle all the casting. Like, of course, it makes sense to me that Idris Elba, having been a fan of him ever since The Wire, was portraying the hard-nosed chief, and also other celebrities been wanting to take parts, like Zach Braff as a sloth named Flash, and I personally propose that to a different angle, especially like in the Department of Mammal Vehicles, given Rich Moore's experience on writing some of the earliest and best scenes of The Simpsons. As if it's definitely sentiment is there of some days we don't let the line move at all. We call those weekdays. I also enjoy little details on a character level, level, such as whenever the fertilized animals are in that state, and I'm not gonna say how. Let's just say from both a comedic and dramatic perspective, it caught me off guard even when I first saw this about a decade ago. Let's just say there are certain jokes in both movies that definitely could tell they're targeting my demographic for, or like the Tommy Chong as like a water buffalo at the naturist colony, and also oh selling bootleg movies off a street corner. Or, I wonder if they've gotten any copies of Jungle Animals inside the non-jungle situations or the Secret Prince of Present 40 Figure 4. And likewise, whenever Judy Hootie senses danger, her nose starts to wiggle a little bit. The fact that neither things happen in the whole climactic final fight in the museum him is actually a key to what's happening. Admittedly, some people only notice that uh, when they watch a movie more than once, but I'm one of those rare people that actually knows these things on their first viewing. And I definitely like how the movie explores how sometimes things aren't always who they what they appear, or individuals are not always who they appear. Some might say a rabbit is small. I might say they can get into places larger animals could not and navigate them pretty easily. Some might say, hey, foxes are shifty. I might say, hey, that they're clever and they're good at finding unconventional solutions to problems that others might not consider. And naturally, they end up getting promoted to detective and having the film's end. The whole adventure continues with their call signs being Slick and Carrots, of course. Much like Bugs before her. Sure, it's not maybe not have it all the time, but it's also quite useful with the recordable pen as well. Naturally, the film was highly acclaimed and was a big hit. It's taking in over $1 billion worldwide, with over 340 million of that coming in from the US. Yes, and even got a spin-off series we made for another day. Hey, and I also have no issue in hindsight with that being winning that year's Best Animated Feature trophy. 2016, I'm not saying so far I would want to go back there because that was kind of a rough year for me personally, but there are things within that year I did enjoy, and the more I think about it, the more I actually can see why some people like this film, which naturally meant as time passed, the possibility of follow up uh, definitely emerged, and last year during the holiday season, we got it. Though Byron Howard also directed the sequel film as well as the second, as well as the first, with the second, this time co-writer Jared Bush takes up the co-director and the sole writing position, and so let's get to it. Unlike the Frozen and Moana sequels, which were retooled from being DTV projects to theatrical releases with a budget to match, though for still introspective, I'm not going to lie, you can kind of tell that. I gather the next installments are going to be made with theatrical first mindset, man. That's this movie was definitely made from the ground up to be a theatrical experience, and even iterating upon the technology it had in the previous movie in interesting ways while still keeping me that workable. Like, even with, especially in the case of props, especially their handling, and that they actually designed these deliberately again that would make sense for the new, new places that they added to story which are key towards it. Also, before anyone mentions, it's not just the mouse that was as having a kind of odd year last year for theatrical animation. The whole medium him was kind of going up down sideways. Like, even though most of the things I saw and enjoyed were also watched critically, a they it was just kind of rough year across the board. But like I said, the road to recovery was a marathon, not a sprint. And even though the first half of the year definitely saw all one's back under reform, to varying degrees, is I am definitely glad to see that by the second half there was recovery, and even this one managed to have some enough legs to not only get to $1 billion worldwide. I was wondering if they could make a lightning strike in the same place twice, but they did. And domestically, it even managed to surpass Minecraft as the biggest hit of 2025. Now that's a project that actually will work. Yeah. And on that note, the second movie picks up at some indeterminate amount of time after the first left off, where Nick and Judy are still adjusting to their new roles, not just as partners on the force, but being more than that. And I honestly was not expecting that kind of allusion to a rather infamous fan comic, which I've often been one of people who's more like trying to change the climatic dialogue to make fun of it, at where instead of the line, which I'll not repeat here, it's something like, "We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty." And naturally, the opening bust as to the docks ends up being key to the central mystery of the movie. We admittedly was not sure what to think about some of the comments that the higher ups are making, especially composer Michael Giacchino. But now that I've actually watched the whole thing, and will likely be doing so again this evening, like binging as many of the nominees as I have access to, I can definitely say now that makes sense. The music is certainly great, and I will definitely say that it's the second film is very much like Gremlins 2 kind of sequel to me, where it is possible to have one that's both more absurd but also darker and more satirical at the same time. Yeah. Case in point, I mean, this time it's sort of a neo noir detective story where the central antagonists, yes, where we find out more and more about them as the story goes on, are involved in all kinds of stuff, having ties to the foundation of the city itself, and will do everything in their power, or like they would, no matter who gets displaced, if not killed in the process. It's definitely, they hit all the notes. Patent infringements, real estate swindles, good old fashioned homicide. They do it all, folks. And naturally, this also involves them not just for this one person, an animal they end up getting involved with, but they also declare their own names of crime they did not commit, which results in the chief being incapacitated for most of the movie. His name is Gary the Snake, voiced by award winner Kei Hui Kwan, which will be yet another reminder for you who, if you haven't seen it, to check out Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Gary is something of what I would call like a reversal of the Ka and their adaptation of the Jungle Book, where they're both serpents who have special abilities in their eyes. As Gary can see heat signatures, Caw hypnotizes people. Oh, but whereas as the animated Caw is much more antagonistic, Gary's much more sympathetic, especially with the reveal about how his family was wrongly maligned by and written out of the history books by the movie's real antagonists, which ironically actually makes Gary close to how College for an original novel. And yes, I did read it a long time ago. Oh, I also definitely can say I enjoy like the swamp market as its inhabitants, especially in the eccentric beaver Nibbles saying strange things on our podcast. And if anyone actually believes that people are gonna succeed at everything they have planned for this, even though how it's very highly impractical, oh then, honey, I've got a Steam key for Haver Astral Creation to sell you. Not going to lie, I even and though I don't put the first film on the same pedestal a lot of people do, who I will say that I actually enjoy the second one way more than the first. Which it they're definitely both ones I can recommend, and and we can have a story about how sometimes the people who built empires here's are not always who they make themselves out to be, as well as having a bunch of beavers and other swamp creatures to communicate with raspberries like they're in rock bottom, and of course a desert concert with known as burning mammals like Ayo. Let me know when post Molman starts. The set starts. Yeah. Naturally, because of this film's success, as a third installment is in early development to close out the trilogy, I am open to seeing what kind of mystery that they can unravel next. And especially given how Nick is openly admitted to being a loner most of his life, exactly what happened to his extended family, even though he has managed to find one with Judy and other detectives in the ZPD. He, I mean, whoever wins this year, I definitely wish best of luck to all the nominees. And though I will not be able to watch the show live this year here because I have prior engagements, I will definitely be keeping an eye on the results, and I'll see you all very soon. So take care, everyone, and make sure to try everything at least once.